It's happening. It's actually happening. There is the England team to play France at Twickenham this weekend. Your thoughts, please, in the comments down below. I'm going to be down there with you because I think there's lots to talk about with this team. But the headline selection, we don't have Twindaloo in the starting lineup. It's no double Curry, but we've got double Smith. Smith squared, we have the Smiths. And that's immediately where my mind went to. It's how many opportunities there are for Smith song puns in the headlines in the coming days. I mean, right now, when I think of a Smiths song, I would be thinking right now, one, panic, because I'm fearful playing against France, but also I'm thinking the song Please, Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want is very appropriate, because what I really want is a win against France. Can that possibly happen? We might be thinking this, on Saturday evening, the Smiths song What Difference Does It Make might be appropriate, but also heaven knows I'm miserable now. It's going to be an uphill task for England. What do you think of the selection? I'll be honest, I don't hate it, and I'll explain why in just a minute. The other changes are, Finn Smith is getting his first start for England at fly half. Marcus Smith wearing 15. In the back line, the other change due to Caden Murley's injury is Ollie Slightholme coming in on the wing. So Freddie Stewart out of the 23, Elliot Daly on the bench in the 23 jersey. As for the forwards, it is a first start for England for Tom Willis at number 8, with a rejigged back row, Ben Earl shifting over to 7, Ben Curry onto the bench. And the only other change is Jamie George, the former captain, is on the bench in place of Theo Dan. Other than that, as you were, some significant changes. And yeah, I'm going to say straight off the bat, I don't hate it. I mean, on the one hand, I think when this was talked about earlier this week, it's come under criticism from a lot of people. I don't kind of understand the criticism. If George Furbank was fit, he would be starting, and he has that balance from 15 where he can be a traditional 15, last line of defence, work good defensively, decent kick, but he can also be a second playmaker, which he does for Northampton Saints. And I think if Furbank was fit, he'd be starting for England. Without Furbank, the option is, I guess Freddie Stewart's earned the right to play there, and he's very, very good. But does he tactically match up best against France? So what is Steve Borthwick thinking with Marcus Smith at 15? I think it could be smart. We have seen this before. Now, a lot of people say about the Ireland game last week, England only scored their tries in the last 15 minutes when the game, or the last 8 minutes when the game was already won, as if they sort of put that down to Ireland switching off. Another thought might be England actually switched on with Finn Smith at 10 and Marcus at 15. And they took the game by the jugular a little bit. They suddenly started to get a bit more territorial control. They suddenly started to find holes. And could that be because there was a second playmaker on the field? So I think we have seen it work within games. Look at the France game last year. England, I mean, how they didn't win that one, I don't know. Bearing in mind they were ahead with 4 minutes to go. But Marcus Smith came on at 15 and George Ford was 10. And England looked really good with that combination. So I think there's enough game tape to suggest this could work. It's not for every game. And like I say, if George Furbank was available, I might well go for him. But France are going to kick deep. When France kick, it's going to be kicking deep. And that's going to mean Marcus Smith, if he gets the ball back there in the pocket, he's going to have time. Then France do not kick to contest like England do, like South Africa do, like other teams do. They will be kicking to try and find grass and going deep. So Marcus Smith launching counter-attacks from deep. He sits there in the pocket anyway for England. I think that could work. And Finn Smith, could he actually bring other players into the game in a way that maybe Marcus Smith doesn't? That's not a criticism of Marcus Smith. They're both fantastic players. The one problem England don't have is at fly half. George Ford's amazing, Marcus Smith's amazing, and Finn Smith's amazing. And if he ever comes back to England, Owen Farrell's amazing as well. It's not a problem who plays. It's all about how you want to play. And I think with this, England might be going JOUE. I've been talking all this week that I think what England will do is go aerial bombardment. And for that reason, I thought we'd see Freddie Stewart or Tom Roebuck on the wing. But the fact we've got Ollie Slightholme on the wing and Marcus Smith at 15 leads me to believe England are actually just going to have a crack. They're going to roll the dice and attack. And I'm here for it if they want to do that. I think the odds are stacked against England. I think France are starting favourites, and they should be favourites. And if both teams play to their potential, France will win. But I like the fact England, looking to me at least, tell me if you disagree, like they're going to roll the dice and try and score some points. And I'm okay with it. Why not? Why not? Why not? I think it could be inspired. It's a bold call. At least I get the sense from this selection, like this is a selection where England are picking a team to go out and do what they want to do, rather than picking a team to combat an opponent, which you could argue they did against Ireland last week with the 3 sevens in the back row, although that worked out quite well as well. As for the back row, Tom Willis, I'm pleased to see him starting. France are a big old pack. They're a meaty pack, and you need someone that can carry through heavy traffic. And I think Ben Curry on the bench, who was ferocious last week, I think he will keep the energy up. You can just say to Ben Earl or to Tom Curry, go out and empty the tank. And there is reinforcements on the bench. And Chandler Cunningham-South will need to be better than he was last week. He's good carrying, and he'll maybe continue the job that Tom Willis does in the final quarter of the game, going into the back row. But yeah, Ben Curry will keep the energy going. Chesham is getting back to fitness. In a way, I thought he would be starting, but I'm kind of okay with him being on the bench because he is only just coming back and he's good second row cover. Jamie George should bring experience. And I thought Theo Dan, for all his good work, made some glaring errors in the final quarter of the game. And maybe you could say there's a little bit more experience on that bench when you think Jamie George is in and Elliot Daly is in. And I think Elliot Daly on the bench is a smart call. If the 15 thing isn't working out, you've got someone that can go there, but equally he can cover 13 and wing. And it's just a good, experienced pair of hands to have on the bench, which I think in retrospect, for all the youth and dynamism England had on the bench last week, maybe experience is something that we lacked a little bit. So I'm kind of okay with it. I'd be interested to know what you think. I think there will be some size. I think there will be some complaints. Marcus, seems to be an English affliction that we always want to get our 10 out of the 10 jersey once he's in the 10 jersey. I can never understand the stick that Owen Farrell got. People were demanding George Ford be the 10 during the World Cup. Then George Ford becomes the 10 after the World Cup, and people start saying, no, we don't want George Ford, we want Marcus Smith. And now Marcus Smith's in. There's been a lot of people saying, well, maybe not Marcus, maybe Finn Smith instead. So I understand that it's a weird thing with England because we have so many options. We chop and change all the time, but for what it's worth, I'm okay with it. As for a combined 23-man squad, I've already got a video in the channel looking at France, which I did earlier, and I don't see many Englishmen making it into a combined team. I've picked Maro Itoje and Tom Curry from the pack, and I picked Ollie Lawrence instead of Pierre-Louis Barassi. Other than that, I go for every single Frenchman over every single Englishman. And in some cases, it's not even close. In some cases, more so. But that doesn't mean that England cannot win. I would just go back to what I have said a few times this week, that England aren't favourites, shouldn't be favourites, and shouldn't be expected to win. I think France have to play below themselves and England have to play up, and then game on. And for what it's worth, I wouldn't mind seeing England go out on their feet, rolling the dice and having a crack. That's not to say there will not be box kicking and territorial kicking. There absolutely will be and should be, because France are relatively weak at that and England are relatively strong at that. But as I say, the selection of Slightholme over Roebuck or Stewart leads me to believe maybe England are going to have a crack. Let's see how they get on. I'll be there. I'll be taking the channel to Twickenham. I'll be chatting to England fans, French fans. I'll be bringing you reaction to the Italy-Wales game. Maybe some other surprises popping up here and there. So hit subscribe on the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and more importantly, most importantly, tell me in the comments what you think about the England team. Steve Borthwick, has he lost it, or is he on to a winner?